Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan, and yesterday Creative Assembly have released their financial statements. This is done on the government website for the United Kingdom, so gov.uk. And yeah, we need to talk about this. This is for the financial year that ended in the 31st of March 2023 this year. Some stuff is stuff that we've already known so far. Other stuff could be new. I do want to state one thing before we jump in here. I am, of course, not a financial expert. It's very important here to state because a lot of YouTubers seem to think that they're financial experts when they're not. I just want to talk about this because obviously this affects us. This affects us as fans. This affects a bunch of friends that we might have in Creative Assembly. And yeah, let's begin. So we have a strategic report here which shows that by the end of the last financial year, 31st of March 2023, there was a turnover of 153 million, where compared to the previous year, the turnover was 137 million. Obviously, some more money has been made there. And we can see that there when we can actually see the operating profit. So yeah, there's been a jump in terms of profit that Creative Assembly have made overall. So the profit for this year after taxation is 8,357,000 compared to the overall of the 2022. This is at the bottom of the page, by the way, of 6,857,000. So yeah, you know, costs are up, but also your money is up too. It's just kind of funny when you look at it like this, right? Net assets has jumped up quite dramatically, almost by 10 million. That's expected considering that Creative Assembly recently invested in a CGI studio, I believe. They've also made a lot of purchases in recent times to other studios, extra equipment. That is all well known. Once again, kind of funny when you say costs are up. Yeah, the costs are up because you keep buying crap that you might not actually use. Kind of funny, if you look to the key performance indicators just above that, they say there, the increase in operating profit can be attributed to revenue growing faster than costs. Again, costs are up, aren't they? But apparently your revenue is higher, yet you still feel the need to threaten the fan base, which, yeah, I'm a little bit annoyed about. We don't need to be retold. And also it's the case of, well, you're firing a bunch of people now, right? This does obviously come into question. If you're a financial expert, please let me know what this actually means if I'm misinterpreting it. But it does feel like a little bit of a slap to the face. Not being funny, but when you see a rather large increase in profit, you don't really think about poor family-owned company type of situation, right? Does someone need a new boat, or does someone just need a buttload of cocaine? Or both? Continuing on the strategic report, there is a continued business outlook, which is, you know, they've been getting some cash coming in. There's nothing too interesting. They've said that they've had a rise in sales since, you know, the pandemic. It's something which obviously makes sense. Everyone was at home, so people were gaming more. They're continuing to monitor the situation with Ukraine and Russia because that has affected the UK in terms of heating and so on. It has affected us all. Interest rates are rising. Yes, there is pretty much a recession happening throughout the world, and that is affecting disposable household income, which means that people can't buy stuff. Again, yeah, I mean, everything is very obvious. It doesn't take a statement for that to say anything. What is kind of interesting is obviously it's like, well, if you're expecting people not to buy as much, why are you putting the DLC 150% of the price? Okay, continuing, we've got another part here. Everything seems normal with the people, business relationships, community and environment. Could be better. Shareholder usual. But competitors, this one we have to read over. A significant portion of the studio's resources are committed to the Total War franchise. The underperformance of a title could have an adverse impact on the funding of future Total War products, as development teams may need to be rationalized. Any events or circumstance that negatively impact the Total War franchise, such as product or service quality, competing products that take a portion of consumer spending and time, the delay or cancellation of the product or service launch, could negatively impact the wider group's financial results. First up, you have no competitors. Let's be honest, there's not a lot of real-time tactics in a grand strategy style, right? Even the Paradox games aren't really the same. We had something with the Great War Western Front, but that wasn't as big. Manor Lords is definitely not going to be a competitor. It's just something else. It's a city builder simulator. It's got warfare and so on, and I'm really looking forward to it, but it's not what's going to kill Total War. What's going to kill Total War is you guys. The underperformance of a title, well, you put Total War money into Hyenas. That was a colossal waste of cash. You put Total War money into other products that we know exist because you guys have hinted towards. So yeah, that's taking from Total War money. You put Total War into Pharaoh, and unfortunately, Pharaoh was something that people didn't want. If you would have focus tested this properly, rather than going in through your usual, I guess, tester group, those are the people who usually test your games, they would have told you that this wouldn't sell. You've got a bunch of yes men involved, and they're not going to tell you no otherwise because they're scared of losing their position. That's how it clearly works. And before anyone says, well, are you certain that they've got a focus test group and stuff like that? Yes, because every company has this, right? It's the same thing that happens with TV shows and stuff. There's focus tests just to see how things could potentially work before it makes it out into the public to see if it's going to make any money. If they don't have that, then holy crap, they do need one really badly. But in my case, I expect it to be focusing around some sort of yes men situation. Mostly because, I mean, Shadows of Change being one of those perfect examples, right? But you have no competitors. Obviously, there's loads of people who say that they're going to be the next Total War and stuff like that, but it just never happens. Total War, the reason why people don't do a Total War style game is because the amount of work that goes into Total War does not really have that incentive, right? There's not that much profit involved. You might be going, well, 8 million last year, but still, they could have made more if it would have sold just as much, but be less work intensive. Considering the amount of work that goes into a Total War game when the engine is collapsing into itself, yeah, it must take a lot more time, and it would be easier if they would have done something on Unreal Engine, which obviously we know Creative Assembly have now started working on Unreal Engine through some job listings that came out like about a month ago or something. Continuing once again, we have something quite interesting in licensing. So, many of our products and services are based on or incorporate intellectual property owned by others. Our Total War Warhammer products include rights licensed from Games Workshop. Competition for these license and rights is intense. If we're unable to maintain these licenses and rights or obtain additional licenses or rights with significant commercial value, our ability to develop successful and engaging products and services may be adversely affected, or our revenue and profitability may decline significantly. Well, no offense, my dudes, but you're kind of fucking the family dog now with Warhammer, right? The current issues with the licensed products are your issues and your issues alone, and obviously you need to make sure that that gets better off. Again, referencing for future stuff, like for example Total War Warhammer 40k, which I'm fairly certain is going to happen, and the potential of possibly getting in Warhammer the Old World stuff. It's really important, especially if you want to keep the Warhammer Fantasy game alive, to make sure that you have enough material for longevity, extra profit, and so on. I will keep hammering that until you actually understand this. Everything else seems normal. Kind of funny that they mentioned that a breach of IT security could result in major business disruption. I mean, they didn't even need a breach, just people are leaking for obvious reasons. It's a bit of a shame, obviously, because I know there's people being affected that really shouldn't really be affected, but yeah, it's not a good time right now. Okay, there's a few important things to talk about in this section, which is from the director's report. Nothing was too important before, but if you go into engagement with suppliers, customers, and others, if we go just to the third paragraph, community engagement is also a critical success factor as we transition to a games as a service business model designed to provide players with enhanced gameplay experience for additional content and subscription-based offerings. No. Do not turn into one of those scumbag companies, Creative Assembly. I mean, you're pretty much there with the recent happenings and how you've been talking to your own fan base in the most disgusting way possible, but no games as a service, no subscription-based model. The fact of the matter is, people will buy the stuff when they're good and ready. If it's a good product, they'll buy it. If not, they'll wait for a very dramatic sale. No subscriptions. You make single-player games, not MMOs. And if you're thinking about making an MMO, no, you already saw how your whatever hyenas was supposed to be worked. Please don't make the same mistake twice. We don't need costs are up again. Okay, let's go into growing or going concern. The financial statements have been prepared on a going concern basis, which the directors considered to be appropriate for the following reasons. The directors have prepared cash flow forecasts for a period of 12 months from the date of approval of these financial statements in order to assess going concern, which indicates that the company will have sufficient funds through funding from its immediate parent company, SEGA Europe Limited, to meet its liabilities as they fall due to the going concern assessment period. Everything else is just basically saying how big their reliance is on SEGA at the moment, which kind of makes sense. They don't really have a lot of big titles which are making a lot of money. Total War Warhammer 3 isn't making cash right now because well, you know, Hyenas is dead and Pharaoh is just not making any money. But, I mean, you could have asked anyone and they would have told you that. It's an unfortunate reality. It's an unfortunate reality, but it is a true one. I'm going to have everything linked in the description below where you can find pretty much all their statements to the government of the United Kingdom. And this is their full accounts, any changes in terms of appointments to director and so on. And this is there just so you can read through it if you want to, if you're curious about where the money is going in terms of taxes, leases, all the different type of stuff. I feel like maybe those of you who are more financially inclined might be interested into that. We're not going to get any information on how bad the effects have been with regards to hyenas and so on until the end of next financial year, which will be May 31st, 2024. But I figured we should talk about this, mostly because it is quite important. Many of us are quite curious where the money's going to. Again, profits are coming up, but we're not really seeing too much there in terms of like content and so on. I don't know. Again, if you're a financial expert, I am not. It would be nice to get some clarification in the comments below. I do appreciate when you come in with that knowledge as, I have no knowledge of this situation, right? It's not really my forte. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below and let's start a discussion. For those of you interested, at around 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock UK time, well, here's hoping, I should be live on twitch.tv/thegreatbookofgrudges, maybe a little bit later, but we're going to be playing the Old World mod, we're going to be playing as Tomb Kings or Bretonnians, I'm going to let you guys decide live, and we're going to be streaming all the way until the Warhammer The Old World reveals at freaking 2 o'clock in the morning UK time. It's going to be brutal, but it's going to be worth it, I hope. Because, I mean, the last time it was that long, it was a pretty big beastie reveal for the Bretonnians, and I'm a big fan of Tomb Kings, so that should be fun. But with all that being said, have a nice day, guys. Have a nice weekend if I don't see you, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.